Well, an almost old-fashioned innings from Sri Lanka there, if you can call a format that's just a few years old, old-fashioned. It was a nice kick at the start, consolidation in the middle with a few wickets lost, and then the final few overs producing a kick, getting them to a total that they would be reasonably pleased with. Maybe a few short, a few less than we might have thought would be a winning total, but 154 for 6 nonetheless, runs on the board. Kusal Pereira is the one who gave them the kick early on. Asalanka too, and then Rajapaksa finishing off with 33 of 26, as he did the other day in the run chase against Bangladesh. Here we are on Cricbuzz Live. I'm joined by Joy Bhattacharjya and Harsha Bhogle. Purely in isolation, Harsha, without looking at the ups and downs of the innings, how do you rate 154?
Pretty decent for one major reason, which is Adam Zampa. If Hasaranga and Tikshana can bowl the way Zampa did, then they can stretch those overs of spin. Though, to be honest, it didn't look like the track was doing much. There weren't any dust coming. It looked like the ball was coming on well. It's just that I think Zampa bowled really well in a phase when Sri Lanka was struggling. Or maybe he caused Sri Lanka to struggle. But if you look down those bowling figures, the first thing that strikes you is they've chosen their bowlers well. Stoinis and Maxwell, between their 51 runs from 4 overs, they chose and as soon as they came on, they started attacking them. They didn't say, okay, let's wait and watch 2 balls. As from the first ball, they went after those bowlers. I thought this was a very cleverly constructed innings. And they have these hitters. They're all left-handers, remember? Whether it's Rajapaksa, whether it's Asalanka, whether it's Kusal Pereira, all left-handers. And this is a Sri Lankan side that's so full of promise. Where has the turnaround in the Sri Lankan team come from? When they made that one change, leaving out Chandimal and getting Asalanka back. See what a change it has made.
Well, to be honest, it seemed like a no-brainer. We couldn't figure out why Asalanka wasn't in the team in the first place.
Nobody could figure out.
But now that they've made the change, he just looks to have a presence at the crease, Joy. The moment he strides out there, we saw him batting at, 6 or 7 against India in that series. And now I think he's found his right spot.
No, absolutely. And again, attacking Maxwell up front. So immediately they took the attack out there. And once he started hitting, then Kushal Pereira comes and starts hitting Stoinis. And immediately that start is set. Again, they know top 6 overs, the ball is going to come on slightly better. So they took toll of it. They slowed down in the end. But as I completely agree with Harsha, these guys played optimal cricket. And look at that. You can see that's Adam Zampa. 8th over, 10th over, 12th over, 14th over, 5.77. That's why that strike rate at that point in time is dropped. But they just couldn't get him out. I couldn't get at him. But look at the rest what they did. 8.83 up front, 9.8 at the end. They managed to hit Cummins as well. And Cummins has been a bowler who tends to get hit as well. I mean, he takes wickets, but he tends to get hit as well in this format. So I thought it was a very, very well done effort. And I think the words that Harsha used, well constructed. This is your weakness. Probe it hard. Don't give them a chance. Don't allow them to settle.
Gautam, here's something interesting. Just close your eyes and imagine this innings. And the first thing that comes to mind is Asalanka, Rajapaksa. And you think, wow, they really went after the bowling. And the score is 154. You close your eyes, you think they made 170. The score is still only 154. And those middle overs that Joy referred to, 8, 10, 12, 14, might just come back to haunt them. I think that Zampa could well be man of the match in this game if Australia chase this down. It's a player of the match winning performance.
Yes, but to be fair, it is, you have got to give credit to Zampa and credit to Sri Lanka at the same time, that for a guy who didn't concede even a 2 in his entire spell of 4 overs, and I'm talking Adam Zampa, they managed to compensate to a certain extent with what you said earlier, choosing the 5th bowler and targeting them.
I still think it's a good score, I'll only say if they can get into the Australian middle order quickly, this is a winning score. But if Warner Finch find form on what is still a good deck, if Warner Finch find form, then it may not be enough because Australia are batting very deep with Wade 7, Cummins 8, Stark 9. Yeah, so they're batting pretty deep. So it all depends on the start. If Australia get off to a start, they've got the stroke players to do it. But with 154, I still think it's half of this and half of that.
Yeah, it's one of those that we won't really commit to either way. If they had got to 170, maybe got a few more of Zampa, maybe a little bit more, couple of less wickets lost. we could have said something different. But Joy, we had a little discussion about the approach of Sri Lanka towards a Finch and Warner. Whether or not Warner's statement is true or not, are they going to throw a Kumara and a Dushmanta Chamida up front, or are they going to say at least one of our two spinners has to go early at them?
I think they'll go early with the spinners because, again, the question out here is the reason why Sri Lanka could do so well was because of the start they got. And when the ball is comparatively there, the second thing is that if Dew's got to come on, I'd like to use my spinners as early as possible if I can. So if that's the vulnerability, see, what did they do when they were batting? They probed the vulnerability of the Australian side and they said, this is their weak point, their fourth bowler. And they went after them. So I think if they think that the vulnerability is this, neither of these guys looks in too much form, let's get a spinner in early. Let's get one fast bowler spinner. Let's see if we can take a couple of wickets and throw the cat among the pigeons. I think that's what they'll be looking to do.
They've got a wrist spinner.
Watch out for Tikshana. I won't be surprised if Tikshana bowls up front because I don't think the Australians have played him. In fact, Australians haven't played him. They've only seen him. He didn't play the last game either. You don't have a lot to go by. So I won't be surprised if they throw in Tikshana straight away and see what happens with an over.
So they've got two reasons. One is the dew and one is the unfamiliarity of Australia against Tikshana. So two reasons to throw him in early. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on the order. Are they maybe missing, in addition to this, one of their good old-fashioned off-spinning all-rounders, someone like a Dhananjaya De Silva, to just add balance to this lineup?
You know, the only place he can bat, Joy, Dhananjaya, is in Fernando's place. And then they would have got those extra overs as well. But Fernando's been good for them. So I think that they're pretty happy with it. Their sixth bowler, Shanaka, who can give you 2-3 overs easily.
Yeah, that's if he wants to bowl. That's the old discussion we had. I know you got so stuck with Saifuddin, you forgot that Shanaka was actually more of a favourite than Saifuddin was, only because I wanted him to bowl.
And there is no Saifuddin, Joy.
Yeah, this tournament is over as far as Gautam is concerned. The tournament is over. Shariful has come.
And another is gone. The tournament's over. Obaid McCoy is gone as well.
Yeah, back to St. Vincent. But I think it's a good replacement that they've got in there. I mean, we love the way McCoy bowls. I always like Jason Holder to be a part of any lineup. I know there've been a few people who said maybe his leadership isn't quite the way it is in franchise cricket, but he brings something to the table as an all-rounder.
It's worth looking at, definitely. But I think the way the West Indies are, I think maybe having his counsel in the dressing room could be equally as important as his abilities in the field, because something clearly is not happening for them right now, and I just hope they manage to sort it out.
I'm just trying to see which bowler can they target. Now, Australia. And I think Sri Lanka like to go with Chamika Karunaratne up front. I think he's one bowler they could target. And I wonder if the extra pace of Chamira and Lahiru Kumara, they might actually end up enjoying the extra pace coming onto the bat. So it'll be crucial to see how those two bowl. But Joy's point is valid. Keep your eye out if all of you are watching the game as well. As soon as you go away from Cricbuzz, of course, you'll come back to Cricbuzz as soon as the game is over. Keep an eye out for towels.
Yes, we will. Keep an eye out for towels. Keep an eye out for Tikshana. And of course, when we just briefly mentioned Jason Holder, I'm sure we'll have a bit of a conversation about him at the end of this game, because we'll be looking ahead to a fascinating contest between West Indies and Bangladesh. As we wrap up the show, quick one for the moment. Which camp are you in at the moment, Harsha?
Hang on. Before you wrap up the show, did somebody say 152? Did somebody say one? Just because you're wearing a monochrome pink shirt doesn't mean you ignore your role. Somebody said 152. It came to 154. I'm thinking power play. Is that what you were asking? Or
yes.
You did?
No. I was going to say the reason why we are not doing a prediction for the power play score is because somebody predicted right. I wasn't going to finish without giving you credit. All I was asking is, without the power play score, which camp are you in right now?
I am marginally in Sri Lanka's camp. Marginally.
Joy,
my heart is my heart is with Sri Lanka. My head is with Australia.
That's so politically correct.
I would love Sri Lanka to win, but I think Australia.
Be careful. Now, if you really want to say something very nasty to Joy, You've got to say woke these days. It is the most abusive swear word going around. But I said what I had to say.
Well, I with again no bias against either side. Just my gut feeling at the moment is green and gold to chase this down clinically. It's been the story of the tournament, and I just have a feeling the story of the tournament will continue.
Actually, yeah. I can't make up my mind. I think it's completely 50-50. Yeah.
I hope that's a comfortable fence, Harsha.
No, I did say marginally Sri Lanka though at the start. So.
Fair enough. We'll leave it at that. All it means is the fact that we've had this kind of discussion at the end of the show means it's too early to call right now. Sri Lanka with their spinners or Australia with some of the batsmen trying to find form. Who will prevail? We will try and assess it in the 10th over. For now, that's all we have on Cricbuzz Live.